I'm now speaking with Michelle Chambers, for running for City Council at large. Michelle, why are you running for office? I mean, that's a tedious process and time-consuming and very strenuous. Why are you running for council at large?
Well, first of all, it's time for the City of Fort Wayne to have a councilwoman at large. If you look at the council right now, it lacks diversity. And we need to have a different voice, if you will, a different approach. I've been a public servant for 20 plus years. I have an extensive background. I work with the City of Los Angeles and the City of Carson in community development, redevelopment, and economic development. Oftentimes I was that staff person doing the research, preparing the reports for the mayor's office and the council office, letting them know if a specific project was appropriate, if are these particular grant dollars that we want to receive as a city. So I understand what it takes, the day-to-day operational side of a city, if you will, and I also understand what makes sense for a city when it comes to economic development, redevelopment, community development, human services. I've worked with nonprofits, churches, people who have passion to serve. So I'm just building upon a legacy. We've served the Fort Wayne community for over 70 years. My grandfather, Ed Elkins, was a trailblazer here in Fort Wayne. He was the first of many. It runs deep in my blood to be a servant. I am truly a servant leader. I don't serve for passion, for fame. I serve because it's my calling to serve. I have the skills and the abilities to be a servant leader. So it's only appropriate for me at this point in my life. I knew that when I returned to Fort Wayne 3 years ago, it's always been part of the bigger plan to take all those experiences that I've had professionally and to bring them back here and help the City of Fort Wayne continue to grow, and also to be the voice of the voiceless. I own 2 companies, and the company Signing Closers, it allows me to go into people's homes every day. I'm in Allen County and 16 other counties that I service. I do real estate loan closings and more. And oftentimes we get to talking about the city and where it's going. Many people don't feel like they're part of the city. So I want to be that voice at the table for the voiceless, to be representative of those who don't feel like they are being properly represented and getting the full magnitude of what's happening here in the city.
You know, one thing you just said there, you know, Fort Wayne for the past year has been going outside of the city trying to get new ideas to bring back to Fort Wayne to improve Fort Wayne.
Absolutely. So
now how does, you know, Los Angeles area is a much larger metro area than Fort Wayne. What unique perspective does that give you when you come back here trying to apply what you learned there to a much smaller, totally different environment to an extent?
Well, it's just that California is larger, but all cities have the same problems, if you will. Attracting the right growth to the city, creating a city where everybody feels inclusive. The beauty of Fort Wayne, although we're the second largest city in Indiana, it's still a very family-oriented, family-driven city, but it's a city on the move. So because I'm out in all the quadrants in the city, I can see the success of Southwest and some of the things that go on Northwest. So there's other quadrants that need to have those professional, modernized shopping centers, if you will. You want corporate mayor to come in, but you want to have the appropriate housing to support those folks that are coming in, and even support the local folks as they're growing and moving and want to secure housing. You want to have great housing that's affordable and great for everyone, that they would want to take advantage of that. So you just want to be able to bring in corporations and businesses, small and medium and large alike, that the constituency can benefit from.
You know, again, you said a whole lot there. When you say inclusive, you know, a lot of people here in Fort Wayne have been talking about that lately. And it's almost a whole movement that's trying to bring people to increase the tolerance for different groups and things like that. But it seems like that as we're talking about bringing in the different ethnic groups and hugging them and bringing in the different LGBT communities and the short people and things like that, it seems like that when you're talking about inclusion, you have to put it in context with something that had been excluded. And for years, blacks and Indians here, I mean, we ignore them. I've been on different consoles with multicultural groups, and they never talk about that part of it. And they tell me that that's the nasty, dirty part of inclusion that we don't want to talk about. We want to talk about the good, fun part, and talk about the Latinos and the Burmese and the different groups like that. How do you put a nice face on talking about how blacks were excluded and Indians have been driven out of here? I mean, how do,
I mean, the reality of it's not about putting a nice face on that particular part of our history. That is our history. That is what America was built on. There's been a lot of exclusion. So now that's why I think universally throughout the world, well, in the United States, it's about being inclusive. We are really growing into a very colorless society, if you will. When I say colorless, people are learning to accept one another for who they are. Some cities and states are a little further behind than others. It's not about bringing these people here. The people are here. The Burmese, the Latino, the African American, your Islanders, your Africans, we're all here. Fort Wayne is quietly becoming like America, a melting pot again. So it's not about bringing them, it's about making a city that's welcoming and acknowledging different cultures. And they do that through the different festivals and things of that nature. But we can still be at times a divided city. I go everywhere in the city, but not everyone has that attitude. So it's really about educating our constituents, the folks that live here, about all the opportunities that are here in the city, being actively making people aware of all the things that are here in Fort Wayne. Absolutely, I'm not saying we forget about our cultures and from which we come, but there's nothing wrong about embracing everyone's culture, embracing everybody. The LGBT community is here. Again, not to repeat myself, but we're here. It's not about bringing them here. It's about everyone working together and being inclusive. It's not about forgetting from where you come, because if you don't know where you come from, then you don't know where you're going.
Right now, a lot of people feel hopeless. They feel like their voice doesn't matter. And activism has absorbed the image of being discontented, discontented with things, and you're just complaining about things. Why is activism and speaking up and not being afraid to speak with political leaders, what do you tell people, about why that's important for them to do such?
Well, when I'm dealing with specifically the youth of today, and I'm going to shift it a little bit, come back to what you're really asking me. That's why I emphasize to the young today, first of all, register to vote and vote. Because there's a lot of opportunities that if you're not registered to vote, you can't sit on grand juries, you can't be a part of the jury, you can't be a council person. You have to be a part of the process. And there's nothing wrong with activism because you're making people aware of what's going on. But you really do have to have an active approach with a plan. You want an outcome. You want an outcome to your activism. And I think that was the beauty of Selma. I think is regenerating and having folks to rethink how they are active and fighting for a cause. You want an end result. It's okay to be angry and frustrated about something and stand out and protest, but protest with a goal of an end result. I always talk about you have to have a plan with a purpose, and you have to have a purpose to plan. They go hand in hand. Because if you have a plan that has no purpose, then what are you planning for? If you have a purpose and it's not planned out, then you won't be successful. So there's nothing wrong with activism. I'm glad that we're being active again. We just recently marched here in Fort Wayne. It really filled my heart that day to see all of Fort Wayne come together, black, white, brown, whatever, family, single people. It was very fulfilling because we all were there for a common cause, to bring the city together, talking about the right to vote and how important it is to vote.
Once you get on council, what do you want to do first?
Well, I definitely want to bring in a different perspective. If you observe the council right now, the recent council meeting that we had, I just really felt like the voice of the people, it wasn't being heard. I just want to be that person that has that perspective, that you hear what the people are saying, and that we really work to meet the needs of our constituency. We work at the will of the folks that vote us in. We're at will. You can vote us in and you can vote us out. It's not about me, the council person. It's about the people who voted me in. Realistically, can I service 255,000 thoughts? I think that's where we're doing, what our population is now. But I can be that voice of those who feel like they're voiceless. Because, one, I have the skill set, the professional skill set, the skills and ability to work through the minutia of politics and city government. But I also am the voice of the people because I'm in their homes every day. and I'm listening to seniors, married couples, single people, young people, single moms, you know, and I hear what their complaints are, and I hear how they feel disconnected to the city. So just being able to have the ability to work through the city council minutia, if you will.
You know, just listening to you and looking at you, the many times I interviewed Ed Elkins, and his enthusiasm came across the same way. Is that genetic? I mean, what we're getting at is a lot of people ignore learning their genealogy, and that seems to be somewhat important to you. It's
very important to me because I sit here across from you today because of my grandfather. My grandfather taught me at a very young age, and I take this very seriously, even it will continue to be part of my mandate, if you will, as a city council person. All you have in life is your word. Say what you can do, and if you can't do it, say you can't do it, because your word is bond.
And our last question here, you know, what do you want to say to people who had never voted again, and just what message, what do you want people to know about you in broader Fort Wayne?
What I want them to know is that I'm a seasoned 20-year public servant. I am a successful business owner. I own 2 businesses here in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Outside of my academic, I have a master's in public administration. I'm a National Urban Fellow, class of 2011, America's Leaders of Change. You know, academically, I've studied hard and, you know, been very successful in my professional career. But what I want the people of Fort Wayne to know is that I am committed. I am committed to the constituents of Fort Wayne. I believe in this city. I believe in our constituency, and I know that we're a great city, and I know that I have the skills and ability to be one of the best, if not the best, city council person sitting at that seat come November.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching.